Dr. Bucshon, you're recognized for 5
Thank you. Mr. Norton, you want to expand on that about the Attorney General?
Yes, Attorney General Kaufman has not investigated the allegations of Rocky Mountain Planned Parenthood or other Planned Parenthood facilities around the country in trafficking in baby parts of bodies. She has taken the position she has no authority to investigate the matter whatsoever, unless asked by the governor to do so,
Well,
which the governor, as a supporter of
I will not
Planned Parenthood,
yield.
has not
Well, then
done.
I guess we won't get to the truth of it.
A couple of things. First of all, you know, the indictment in Texas was for using a fake ID, and the dad of a couple of college students, I can tell you, you know, half the college campuses would be indicted over that. Also, it was stated that researchers are losing money on this fetal tissue. If they're losing money, how are they losing money if there's not a financial transaction? The other thing is, I agree that past investigations are completely irrelevant to today's discussion. You know, if that was the case, we would never investigate anything. And the other thing is, the person in Colorado who tragically murdered some people had very severe mental illness, and that was what was impacted that situation, which is tragic. During the time of the 1993 NIH Revitalization Act, everyone had high hopes about fetal tissue transplantation. Just so you know, I was a doctor before I came to Congress. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. And so in reference to this particular procurement agency, which has been mentioned multiple times by the minority, this whole section of the Act was passed to reverse the ban on fetal tissue transplantation. The statute, which applies to all fetal tissue, allows reasonable payments associated with transportation, implantation, processing, preservation, quality control, or storage of human fetal tissue. I know a little bit about this because I was a doctor, and it appears to me that all of these are upstream activities from the abortion clinic in reference to this particular full-service procurement agency. So the question is I'll start with Mr. Lemon. Assuming that is correct under this particular procurement agency we're discussing today, do you see any language in the statute that forms the basis to reimburse the abortion clinic for any costs at all?
I don't. The statute itself doesn't delineate between the two. But I would want to quickly respond to Mr. Rabin. My written testimony submitted makes it clear that there were assumptions made, that all this evidence is admissible in court, and that an ethical prosecutor would also have storytellers, either credible insiders or people who are compelled to testify to support this. So my analysis, and the question I think was unfair, my written testimony points out that this evidence needs to be corroborated.
Understood.
But I do think that if the abortion clinic was able to show that there were reasonable costs that were delineated there, and I've seen no evidence of that, then that would be complying with the statute. But I didn't see that in any of the exhibits I was asked to review, and that's the basis of my opinion.
Mr. Norton.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that there are a fair number. First of all, let me say that in our system of criminal justice, each and every individual is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Even those clients Ms. DeGette would bring to my office when I was United States Attorney, they would be presumed to be innocent as well from the get-go.
Agreed.
And so that would be the case here. And so there are a number of unanswered issues, I think, that a competent investigation could and should pursue. For example, how much does the abortion clinic receive for an abortion from a client? And what's the source of that? Is it from the patient, from insurers, from Medicaid, from other sources? What, if any, of the services that are provided to the abortion client, that is the woman upon whom the abortion is committed, are unbundled and billed to insurers, including Medicaid? What is the actual cost of the abortion? What are the amounts over and above that cost, and where do they go, and how are they accounted for? In other words, what's happening to those profits? How does the abortion clinic notify the procurement business or procurement business technician of the fact of abortions? It appears from the materials we've provided that the procurement business technician is actually embedded in the abortion clinic and is given access to confidential medical records before the patient even shows up on the scene, so that technician can select what organs the company seems to want at that point in time.
I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to. Mr. Sakai, you wanted to comment a little on something earlier, real quickly.
Well, thank you very much. the federal provision is a federal provision. So all the talk about, well, states having looked at this.
By the way, the states that looked at it, the services in question here weren't provided in the first place. And I'll speak for Indiana, so obviously nothing was done wrong because that wasn't even part of the equation.
So there are different jurisdictions, and from the federal standpoint, from the standpoint of a federal prosecutor, he's not going to be swayed by what some states decided was or wasn't a violation of their state statutes. So.
Fair enough. I yield back.